Action fanatics, welcome to another edition of the Bulletproof Podcast. Chris the Brain with you. Joining me, as always, my colleague, Chad Cruz. But Chad, we've got somebody making a huge comeback on this episode.
Oh, yeah, the comeback of all comebacks. You said colleague. You meant to say colleague and best friend, but I will accept colleague only. But as you said, the comeback of all comebacks. It's not Easter weekend, but this one's pretty big too. We've got the one, the only RTG, the real Todd Gaines.
What's up, guys?
Wow. We have finally managed to work all our schedules in so that we can have RTG back on the show. And what a show to have you back for. This is episode 65. That means that the Bulletproof Podcast is now old enough to retire. But speaking of retirement, the big news dropped a few weeks back. Bruce Willis has retired. And RTG, you have been in the dreck, the muck, and the mire of what Bruce Willis' career has unfortunately was over the past year or two. Of course, now we know there is a legitimate reason why these things were happening. But obviously, you've suffered through a lot of Bruce Willis's less than favorable movies.
Yeah, so what did I say a few years ago? It's like, hey, I want to review Bruce Willis movies for other people, review them, or like before the public.
Right.
Well, sometimes you be what's that saying?
Be careful what you wish for.
Bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, I definitely bit off more than I could chew. And what's even more insane is after I reviewed Bruce's last movie, which I don't even fucking remember which one it was, right after I did it, I received a message from someone in the industry letting me know that Bruce Willis was like very sick and his last movie will be made with like Jesse V. Johnson, whatever that movie he's making with Jesse V. Johnson. And I was like, okay. Like I've been calling this guy doing the pillow meter for, how long? And like, okay. So after I did that, so it was after I published the last review. Right. So these fuckers that are commenting, like, fuck you. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. Wow.
So I decided to just, okay, I'm not going to make fun of them anymore. And let's just check this out. Yeah. And let's see if this is true.
And obviously, if that information was public, we probably just would have never even bothered reviewing the movies.
Because... Yeah. And sure enough, I was like, okay. And it got confirmed, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." So I'm going to stop making fun of him as much, and because he's got a condition, and it's 2022, and you really can't. I mean, that just doesn't go together ever. It's like Chris Rock and Will Smith in a slap fight, right? I mean, that'll never happen, right? Oh, it did. Shit. Okay.
You know what? I don't think we have to stop making fun of Bruce just yet.
Well, I don't think I'm going to cover those movies anymore, though, man. I'm done. It's caused me to say, "Oh, fuck that." I mean, that was painful, man. It's the same movie over and over again. It's like
just look at one of your old ones, and it probably
just watch the same movie. Insert these white guys that look mostly the same. Jesse Metcalf, Chad Michael Murray.
That's right.
All those guys, all those guys he went in with, and it's just the same movie and over and again. But the good thing is Bruce Willis made a lot of good movies.
He absolutely did, and that is what we're going to be talking about here on this episode. It's going to be a Bruce Willis countdown, the best of Bruce, on this episode. And of course, we reached out to our followers on social media, Chad, and we got some great feedback. And of course, you can follow us if you're not already doing so. I don't understand why. Because we're on everything. We're on Instagram at Bulletproof Action. We're on Facebook at Bulletproof Action. And, of course, on Twitter at Bulletproof Pod. Chad Cruz, I know you really took some time to make sure your list was just perfect.
Yeah, and by taking time, you mean I just didn't send it to you for weeks.
Exactly. Well,
I took my time. I poured over his entire filmography. I made spreadsheets and charts. I really spent a lot of time privately thinking about the movies, watching hardcore pornography, doing the things that a person needs to do when he's researching for a podcast like this. And I think that the list that I came up with, I can say this with all modesty, it's probably the best list ever made.
Well, and it just got thrown in with all the other lists, so it doesn't really matter.
And it's not even close to the final list. So
No,
whatever.
I don't think it is. But that's the joy of reaching out and finding out what other people think, so we get more of a consensus, and it's not just 2 or 3 of us jackasses in our opinions. Because what do we know? I mean, I know everything, but that's
you are the brain.
That's neither here nor there.
I know too much about recent Bruce Willis movies that
and ironically, here's spoiler alert before we get into the countdown. None of those made the top 10.
I can't figure it out.
So yeah, none of those.
I think that we can continue the pillow meter, I believe, but if you don't want to do Bruce, if we want to stay away from that, you could always use someone like Steven Seagal.
Yeah, we could use someone that
he's making shit movies, and people hate him. So
maybe we could do like a reach out to the listeners and all the action fanatics. Is who else is a lazy motherfucker that doesn't have a condition that that's kind of.
And honestly, part of me wonders if it wasn't for these movies and how poorly they have been received by the public, I'm almost wondering if the family would have said nothing.
Well, I mean,
they would have just let him retire and just that be it. But since it was like, wow, look at all look at how much hate there is for his movies. They almost felt obligated, like, hey, everybody, this is why it was.
Well, the whole general public, like the Hollywood, the Raspberry, whatever awards had a
exactly,
Bruce Willis.
They had a whole category for
and the one he got the award for, he wasn't even as bad as the. I mean, it's just like they just picked one. And
they probably didn't watch them all like you did.
Oh, golly.
They're not as dedicated as you are.
Do you know like how many messages I would get when there's a new Bruce Willis movie? It was like,
I know.
I know
there's a lot of excitement around them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it became your thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I was known for, I guess, the pillow meter. And I mean, I'm cool. And I think it's a really good idea to not retire the pillow meter, but to get a new actor for the pillow meter.
Right. Well, workshop it, think it over.
Yeah, do like a 4-step problem solve.
Pull one of the get some sort of diagramming going on.
Actually post on Twitter.
That might help.
Hi guys.
That could help. Could help.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've filibustered long enough. I am ready to get into this countdown, and I am glad you're here, RTG.
Thank you.
To help Chad Cruz, because I'm going to be more useless than usual on this show, as we will find out as we go on. But let's start it off. Obviously, it's the top 10. We're going to start at number 10. And number 10 is 16 Blocks. This one was released on March 3, 2006, directed by one of my all-time favorite directors, Mr. Richard Donner.
R.I.P.
We lost him last year. And I think he's still, by the time this is out, his birthday would have just passed, or what would have been his birthday. Well, I guess it still is his birthday, but he's not celebrating.
And the year he was born April 24th, 1930.
There you go. So just a peek behind the curtain, it's April 22nd right now as we record. So, Chad Cruz, your thoughts on 16 Blocks?
16 Blocks is one of those movies that I don't remember people getting all that excited about it. It was kind of at that tail end of Bruce's action run where he was, if you look beyond Die Hard, when it comes to Bruce Willis, you're not going to find like these absolute bangers of movies, right? Now we've got a list of 10 here, and I think they're all very good, but I don't think that you'll make an argument that any one of these movies that's not named Die Hard will be in a list of like the greatest action films of all time. And I think that with 16 Blocks, it's one of those movies that's like generally considered like, oh, that was a really good movie. It's got, Bruce Willis as a aging cop, and he's escorting a witness who's essentially under this witness protection from a bunch of gangsters and bad guys. He's escorting him from one point of the city to another point of the city, and along the way, shit hits the fan. And it's got David Morse in it, who I love, he makes every film better. And it also has a younger hip hop star by the name of Mos Def.
Yes, who's not going by Mos Def anymore.
Yeah,
I noticed.
What the fuck is that name?
I did not know
can't
that.
pronounce it.
I'm assuming that's his actual name and not his stage name. But this is 16 Blocks. It was one of those movies I saw it. It was good, and that was it. I never went back to watch it again. It's not because I didn't like it. It just, I don't know. There's not that gravitational pull. Like, I got to watch that thing again. I know our good friend, the Toy Man, covered it for the site. So if you want to check that out, people, bulletproofaction.com. RTG, your 16 blocks.
Oh, God. So one thing about a list like this is, hey, I've seen every one of these movies. So that's saying something to someone's career. But just like you in 16 blocks, yeah, I had it. I watched it. I probably bought the DVD for it. One thing to remember is it's actually like PG-13, and it's actually an enjoyable PG-13 action movie. So that's a positive for this movie. But at the same time, it's like I'm not. Oh man, Mos Def so cool. I actually I remember liking him in this. I believe he he was a good little sidekick, and there's actually I believe it was a little bit more action and a lot going on with during the movie than you would expect. So it was a little bit more than just an average movie. And now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I might actually go back and rewatch it again.
There you go.
There we go. So doing a countdown like that. Hey.
And that's all oftentimes what happens when we do these shows with the list and getting other people's feedback is maybe there's a movie you haven't seen ever, or you just haven't seen in a while. And it's like, oh, I want to see it now because it's kind of back in my memory.
Yeah. So let's all watch that tonight, man. Most definitely.
Okay.
Hey.
Boom.
See, give him about 6 months off. He comes back on fire. All right. Number 9. Here we go, guys. And this is where I'm going to start getting useless. I have never seen this movie, so have at it. That's right. October 14th, 1994 was the release date. I'm talking about. It's a classic too. It's Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
Why is this on the countdown? I mean, it's a Bruce Willis movie, and it's very well known. But I mean, my Lord! I mean, it's like what? I guess they just. I mean, yes, he's actually a pretty major character in Pulp Fiction, but I'm just kind of blown away that. You remember when you used to, not yell at me, but like RTG, this is not really an action movie,
right?
Pulp Fiction is. I mean, I can't. Like Pulp Fiction is a Quentin Tarantino film. I don't.
I wouldn't consider this a Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, and it's just
but I debated on this, but enough people put it on there that I'm like, you know what, the people have spoken,
right?
Yeah.
And
if it was just our staff, you damn well better believe I would have called you all in and I said this is stupid, we're not doing it. But the people, it's all about the people.
It's tough with these lists because whenever actors who have made movies throughout all the different genres. Like Pulp Fiction, I would not consider an action film. It has action sequences in it.
Right.
And especially Bruce Willis has a couple of those.
Yeah.
You could say that, okay, like his role in it, I mean, he plays a boxer who at some point is killing somebody with a fucking samurai sword. So, I mean,
that's pretty action packed.
Exactly. So there are pretty cool scenes in it. And I think the film I think it's the best movie on this list as a movie, as a film.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like a Bruce Willis action countdown, it's harder for me to put it in there. But I mean, to me, the movie is an absolute classic. I probably watch parts of Pulp Fiction because it's on TV constantly. I probably watch parts of it at least 2 to 3 times a month.
Yeah, and I have seen parts of it because, to your point, it's on somewhere all the time. It feels like, but I've never sat down and watched it from start to finish. Ever,
it's actually like a lot better. Like if you were to take time to watch it, I don't want to spend this podcast talking about Pulp Fiction, but if you ever do get the chance, it's kind of like with me with Godfather 2, if I've been saying for the last.
You've never seen Godfather 2?
I have not.
I hate you.
I have not. I've never seen it. But when I watched Godfather 1 for the first time, like 5-6 years ago, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Because you got to have these rainy day movies that like you want to be like old. Like if we don't drop dead, like you want to be old and watching something for the first time. So, or you might get like Alzheimer's.
So you're saving that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I almost watched it, but then when the 50th anniversary of The Godfather, I was like, well, but then I said, nah. But yeah, one day I will.
The great thing about Pulp Fiction when it comes to the action is Tarantino really does action really, really well. And you've seen it in Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained, all these movies. He does action really well. He's not afraid of blood and practical effects and stuff like that. So when it comes to the action,
and plus his writing, he's the only white boy that can get away with a bunch of his
dropping them left and right.
dropping them like it's hot, so and go ahead, Chad.
I was just going to say that Pulp Fiction, it's not a Bruce Willis film, but he's excellent in it. So I would say it definitely belongs on a list of Bruce Willis's best films.
All right,
there we go. Awesome.
That's all I'll say about that.
And I bet you Chris is still not going to watch it.
Well, probably not anytime soon. I have to do about 32 reviews a month for the site, so I don't have a lot of time for just doing whatever the hell. Bitch. Yeah, I know. I should get it to 35. Number 8 is a movie I know Chad Cruz is going to talk glowingly about. It's a movie. It's another one that I've seen once, and that was enough for me. This one released March 7th, 2003, and I know all you people out there, well, not all of you, but a lot of you people out there, come to bulletproofaction.com specifically for this movie. I'm talking about Tears of the Sun, Chad Cruz.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, the Tears of the Sun. You would imagine that it's the most popular film ever made. Based
on our stats, yes.
Based on the stats it gets from our website. I have no idea why, but what a great film. 2003 it came out. I mean, Antoine Fuqua, the director, has made so many great movies. He did Training Day and he did The Equalizers and stuff like that. And he's a man who has kind of action oriented directing abilities. Like he follows action and he puts you in the action at the same time. So this is another one of those films where Bruce Willis, you could have made this a Die Hard movie. I think at one point it was going to be a Die Hard movie, and then it kind of pivoted to something that was just action oriented. But it has a great cast. Monica Bellucci is awesome in it. Cole Hauser, Johnny Messner, some other guys that are playing the Navy SEALs that are along with Bruce Willis, and amazing action. A tragic fucking story, terrible shit. But
yeah, it's
such an entertaining movie that I watch it at least once a year just to go back and relive it.
And I think that's for me. It's like it's heavy. I'm gonna watch something more ridiculous with my action movies, where this is a very more of a serious subject matter. And I don't know. You like to watch that once a year. I would be depressed once a year watching it.
I'm depressed like 180 days a year.
Well, there you go. RTG, your thoughts on Tears of the Sun, if you have any.
Well, I have a couple. I mean, it was one of those, when I first saw it, it was like seriously kind of depressing, right?
Yeah.
And it's still on, I think it's on Netflix still. I mean, for some reason.
It's got to be somewhere because people want to know about it.
And I'm just wondering, like, what words, like what keyword searches are people getting for this? Because
I think a big thing, I think they wonder if this is a 100% true story. Like, did this really happen? And I think that's what causes a lot of the Google searching.
Okay. And
because it obviously is so, depressing and realistic, as opposed to like, oh yeah, like what we're about to get into in the next one. But I won't spoil it. But yeah, it's more reality based.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. It's like it's cool that Cole Hauser was in it, so I'm gonna give him credit on that. And Fuqua does know how to make a movie. So
I mean, you think about our list so far, just the directors that Bruce Willis has gotten to work with, and it's just going to continue on as we go through the list. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things when I was putting together the list. Like, every one of these directors is like very notable, very famous, done a ton of shit, and it's like, it just proves how A-list Bruce Willis was at one point in his life.
But you can also say that as an actor, he has 144 credits to his name. So eventually you're going to hit it out of the park with a dozen directors. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, yeah, he's also got some real turds in there too, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into it. Number 7. This one I remember fondly. July 1, 1998, Armageddon.
Oh, Lord.
I did not see this in the theater, but this was like right when I got a DVD player for the first time, and this was out on DVD. So and you had the whole surround sound. Like, this was the perfect movie to throw in there and hear a frickin' giant asteroid the size of Texas coming towards Earth.
So I have a really I've told this story, I think, right? Have I told this with you guys?
I don't
If you
know.
have, it's been a while, so
It's
please
been okay.
regale
So,
us once again.
all right, so I lost my dad about 15 years ago. R.I.P. Dad. I miss you every day. But we used to watch movies together all the time. This is why I love action movies. We watched this movie together at the theater. And when the what's his name, William, whatever your name is in real life, goes to Liv Tyler and says, "I want to shake the hand of the daughter of the bravest man I've ever, like served with or whatever." Like, no shit. Like, I'm crying like a little bitch. And I turn around and I look, my dad's crying like a big bitch. And I can't watch that movie without crying in that scene. And I don't know, like now, if it's because like my dad or that scene, but it was just, it was you said 4th of July, right? Or close to 4th of July.
Fourth.
When
It was the
yeah,
big 4th of July
yeah,
weekend
yeah.
release. Yep.
I mean, just, it's one of my best like memories ever as a person. And especially a movie memory is watching this. And I don't really know if I'd probably just wouldn't watch it again anymore just because of all the,
Right.
or whatever.
The emotions
but
involved.
yeah, the emotion, because but golly, like I could cry on that or some stupid shit on Sports Center, but like other shit I don't like cry about. But you show some like kid or something, like, oh, some little league team, or this Bruce Willis movie Armageddon, which, I mean, golly, the drawing the damn straws and pushing Ben Affleck and all that shit. I mean, the cast was, it was a good cast.
Yeah,
And
star-studded cast. You have
what
Bruce is like the ultimate martyr in it.
Yeah,
It's quite the tale, and this is really when the disaster movies were hitting.
And it's so much better than Deep Impact, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
I watched them both around the same time, but I'm an Armageddon man over Deep Impact any day.
I was actually anti-Armageddon when it came out. I was more of a Deep Impact person. And part of that was because I didn't have a connection with it like you did, RTG. But part of that, I think, was with the ending of Deep Impact. I think there's some serious impact emotionally. Whereas Armageddon, I just didn't feel it as much. It felt like a straight up action movie to me. And I could not get over the fact that I hated Ben Affleck so much back then.
Wow.
I had an extreme hatred for Ben Affleck in the late 90s and early 2000s. And when Pearl Harbor came out, I considered murdering him at some point. I think because he fucking
whoa, really?
I hate that movie because of Ben Affleck. But there's just but over the years I've grown to enjoy Armageddon more and more, and I think that I can finally appreciate it for what it is, a complete and pure popcorn flick. And when I heard Ben Affleck's commentary on the film and him just absolutely giving out about the idea that they're training drillers to become astronauts and not the other way around, and how ridiculous of an idea that it is, my appreciation for Ben Affleck went sky high. Like, I was like so happy. I was like, oh my God, he is a human being and a normal person.
Okay. So yeah, if you shit on the same things that Chad shits on, then you're his best friend.
Hey, but you know what Ben Affleck's doing now? He's fucking Jennifer Lopez. So I mean,
he did that 20 years ago.
Yeah, they were.
And this was really like when Ben Affleck was really on the rise. Like, he was, after Good Will Hunting, and he was like one of the guys in Hollywood. So
he's still got
he's kept his status for quite some time.
What's crazy is he was so just a void of talent back then when it came to acting.
You think Matt Damon was better?
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, but Chad, how many times have you watched Dazed and Confused?
I've seen it several times. I don't know, a handful of times. I mean, he plays a fucking dumb jock bully in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He basically plays himself, though. If I'm going to play a dumbass from the Midwest who drinks too much beer and scratches his balls like every 15 seconds, then I'm probably going to play the part really well, because that's
he was Ryan Reynolds before Ryan Reynolds. The actor that keeps playing himself over and over.
But you know what? Ben Affleck has evolved in a big way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Look at his movies that he's directed and stuff. He's fantastic now. So
yeah, he's
I was wrong about him.
Yeah, he's really come around.
Moving on to number 6. Here's another one, guys. Never saw this one. Heard of it, never saw it. Released September 20th, 1996. Last Man Standing. And again, directed by Walter Hill. Another iconic director. RTG, you got an issue with
Yeah.
me not seeing this?
Well, no, not really.
I was too busy watching the Jeff Wincott version on PM
Well,
Entertainment.
this is like the 27th remake of Yojimbo, or
Right.
Yes.
yeah. So, and you have one of the Clint Eastwood movies too. What's the one?
Fistful of Dollars.
Fistful of Dollars. There you go.
Yeah.
And a guy goes to a town and wipes everybody out, and I like it. I watched it recently. Well, I don't know if recently because my mind's not like it used to be. Whoops, I didn't really mean to say that, but not joking to you fans of Bruce Willis out there, but
Wow.
yeah, I mean it's actually pretty action packed. I think it got slammed by the critics back in the day, but critics, fuck them anyway, right? I mean we don't know any critics, do we? No, but nope, not at all. But I mean it's enjoyable, but it's always like one of those movies that has like that one guy that's gonna just kill the whole town or whatever, so you don't have a lot of other like good guys to cheer for, right? It's all Bruce kicking ass, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, I think it's, like you said, it's another retelling of Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, and Clint Eastwood. They did it with Fistful of Dollars, and it's probably been told a half dozen other times, I'm sure.
Van Damme did it with Desert Heat.
Desert, oh
Yes.
Lord, he sure did.
Oh,
that movie, my God. But yeah, it's fun stories are good, and with many actors in any era, and I think that this one it takes that kind of samurai western tale and puts it into like Prohibition era, wherever Chicago, wherever the hell it was, and it's a cool movie, fun action. I think that Bruce Willis gets to do something different. He's not a cop in this. This is a big thing. Like he seems like he plays a cop in so many movies. But it was a fun one, and it's one that a lot of people have seen, I think, too. It's like it's not one of those like really obscure Bruce Willis movies,
except for Chris.
Except for God damn you, brain.
You know what I watched last night?
I've seen
wrestling.
Nope. Death Wish 3. Thank you.
Oh Lord.
I don't have a lot of time for Last Man Standing. I had to watch Death Wish 3.
Obviously.
Was it because there's a day that ends in Y? Don't you watch Death Wish 3 every day that ends in Y?
No, not every day, but I do make it a point to watch it at least twice a year.
Well, just look, how many times they remade Yojimbo, how many times you made like the Most Dangerous Game concept movie, and ironically, how many times they've remade a Die Hard concept movie. So we're on.
I mean, if anybody had the right to do another variation on a long-running movie theme, it'd be Bruce Willis, because how many people have banked off his formula?
Right.
So, yeah.
Every actor out there, pretty much. All
right. Number 5, and I think this was number 1 on your personal list, RTG. I know it was number 1 on my list. Released July 3, 1990, Die Hard 2.
Oh, yes.
And we discussed this one in length, did a deep dive back, so check the archives of the Bulletproof Podcast for that. But I love Die Hard 2. And the more I see it, the more I like it more than the original. Directed by Rennie Harlan.
Ding.
We've talked about it before, but it's worth talking about again. RTG, why did you have it ranked so highly?
Because it's I think Chad said it best on the podcast. It's like how you do a fucking sequel. You do it so much bigger and badder, and this movie, and just like you said, like when I rewatched it, I was like, holy shit, this is good. And then I kept thinking about it, and it's to me, I like it more than the original Die Hard, which oh no, there's a movie better than Die Hard. Yeah, there is. It's called Die Hard 2. But
I think it's maybe because there's multiple awesome bad guys in it. As opposed to just having one really great bad guy and then a bunch of stooges, even though one of those stooges was freaking Al Leong.
Oh,
who's awesome. But still.
Yeah, I mean, you have Bruce actually says yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, right? And lights the match or whatever. And you have so many cool bad guys. Like you have so many people that you have to kill most of them at the end because you just run out of time because Bruce just fighting them the whole time. I mean, the whole movie. And I mean, you have really just likable. You have Senator Fred Thompson, right? He's there too, chilling. And it's one of those films that, the beginning's just so much fun. at the airport and running into that fat guy who happens to be cousins with the other fat guy. And
Dennis Franz, yeah.
yes, and so and just that chase in there, and like it's just cool. I mean, the whole movie. I mean, you got like I love it. I mean, I really do. I mean,
I might watch it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if
I'm going to watch a movie on this list tonight, it's probably going to be Die Hard 2. Just to let you all know, even though I've seen it dozens of times. Chad Cruz.
You know, like listening to you guys talk, I'm starting to agree with you more and more. And I find that Die Hard 2, when you compare Die Hard 2 to Die Hard 1, it reminds me a lot of Terminator 2 to the Terminator. Whereas I think that generally maybe the Terminator is a better film, but Terminator 2 I love more. And I feel like it really knocked the sequel out of the park. It ramps up everything. The bad guy is turned up to 11. The action's turned up to 11. Everything is unbelievable. The effects, like they just really did everything to the max. And I think Die Hard's the same way. You said the villain in the first Die Hard is iconic, and maybe more so than the villains in the second Die Hard, but that's partially because there are so many bad guys in Die Hard 2 that they kind of like split the screen a little bit. There's not just one guy in charge of everybody. It's just like, you've got, these military operatives that are doing different things, and terrorists and William Sadler and all these guys. So, but it's
Franco Nero. I mean, God, Franco Nero.
Yep. I mean, when you got a trio of badass lead bad guys.
Yeah. John Amos, the traitor. I mean, that's awesome.
Sadler showing his ass at the beginning, literally. I mean, I love it, man.
And obviously, Nakatomi Plaza, the action was confined to Nakatomi Plaza, where here he had a little bit more room to. I mean, we're on snowmobiles, we're on the runway, we're all throughout the airport. So it kind of just expanded everything, like you said, Chad, on our show. It was the way to make the sequel bigger and better.
A big success, in my opinion.
I would agree.
I kind of want to eat a Twinkie now. Can we have a Twinkie break? Just
if you got them.
Yeah.
Eat them if you got them.
Eat them if you got them, brother.
All right. Number 4. This one should have been 5 for my OCD. But this one released May 9, 1997. Another movie I've seen it bits and pieces of, but never actually sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
The Fifth Element. Chad Cruz, another famous director.
Another famous director, directed by Luc Besson, a French dude who's made a lot of cool action movies. Some of his own doing, some of he just ripped off John Carpenter. But either way, still a very imaginative and cool film. Bruce Willis plays a cab driver who becomes part of this, this giant alien conspiracy fucking thing, and Tiny Lister's the president of Earth, and it's all kinds of crazy shit. And Gary Oldman is like absurd in the movie, but he's great. Mila Jovovich is partially nude in most of the film. So all these,
which is probably how it could have made a lot of people's list.
Exactly, and I think that the movie is unforgettable just because it's so different and unique. I think as a movie, when you sit back and you look at it, it's really not that good, but it's so bizarre and unique, and especially in '97 probably. But it's hard to forget a movie like this, and Bruce Willis has a great wig in it too.
It feels like one of those movies that you either love or you hate.
Yeah.
It's either into it or you're like, what the hell is this? And I'm not going to watch it. I don't
It's
know.
almost like the sequel to Super Mario Brothers. It's like some of the same aliens are in it, I think.
Well, there you go. RTG, you didn't seem too thrilled about this one.
I think it's so high on the list because I don't know, probably people like Mila, but I remember like Chris Tucker, like what the fuck is he doing in this? I mean, I loved Chris Tucker in Friday or whatever, and another Chris Tucker movie, yes. And he's his fashion choices. He would fit in with today's society, but
my God, looks like what's the Lil Nas X in this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I never would have thought the Bulletproof Podcast and Lil Nas X.
Or that it would come from Chad. That's what I would.
Or it would come from Chad.
If it came from Toyman, I would believe it.
Right.
Toyman, yes.
Toyman is our prime minister of urban culture at bulletproofaction.com. But
one of my biggest problems with The Fifth Element is the fact that Gary Oldman as the main villain never shares a scene with Bruce Willis's hero.
Wow.
Never in a scene together, which is strange, for the hero and the villain to never be on screen at the same time. So it's a different kind of film.
Gary Oldman is one of those actors that, my God, like, you might give him 2 minutes of screen time, and it's one of the, like, you always remember him because, like, one of the greatest movies. It's not action really movie, but it's got action movie. True Romance, Tony Scott film, Quentin Tarantino written. My God, Gary Oldman only has 2 scenes, but my God, are they phenomenal. So just one of those guys that, yeah. I mean, every movies Gary Oldman been the bad guy in, and been like a badass bad guy. A lot, almost as many times as Bruce Willis has played a cop, but almost.
We mentioned Tarantino, and we're going to talk about another writer here in a few minutes, who I put in the same kind of tier as Tarantino when it comes to writing, and they write every character as if they're playing that character. If I was going to write a character for myself, I would have all the best and the coolest lines. And I think that when Tarantino writes a character, even when he's only in a scene for 2.5 minutes, he's going to get some really cool lines.
That's a really good point. If I wrote one, it would be like really hot naked girls with me the whole time, and maybe some cocaine, and definitely the strip club, cocaine, hot naked girls.
So Gary Busey would be involved.
Yes, Gary Busey would also be in my film, and we would just, I don't know. I would watch him do coke at a strip club, off a stripper instead of at a strip club.
I mean, if you're going to do coke at a strip club, you may as well do it right off the stripper.
Yes, right off her ass cheeks.
Yes, that I think I'm going to work on this screenplay or movie or whatever later, but not today, but one day. It's there. And just because of this podcast, I was motivated to do it. So thanks, Chris and Chad. Thank you.
That's what the Bulletproof Podcast is all about, motivating people. Number 3 on our list. We're up there now. We're in the upper echelon, because this one is Die Hard with a Vengeance, released May 19th, 1995. John McTiernan was back for this one. And Jeremy Irons this one plays off the original kind of much in the way that, Last Crusade and Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of play off each other, Chad.
Yeah, you're right. They, it's like it doesn't pick up right after the other film, but a lot of the story elements do. Like you said, Jeremy Irons plays the brother of Hans Gruber. I don't remember his name. Simon Gruber.
Simon Gruber.
Simon Gruber. And Die Hard with a Vengeance, it gets a lot of love, and I think especially nowadays it gets a lot of love because I think that the Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis connection is good in the film. I think it's the best part about the movie. I think that the weakest part of the film is the fact that the main villain is Hans Gruber's brother. Yeah. Did we really have to do that? It just seems like it's cheap to me. They cheapened it.
RTG.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun pursuit, right? It's a big chase, right? Die Hard with the Vengeance is Samuel L. Jackson, who can say motherfucker about as cool as anybody we know. I think he owns the patent to the word. So I remember just being excited to watch this film when it first came out, just because it's Samuel L. Jackson, right? And Bruce Willis. I mean, and both of them. I mean, but now, like with Chad saying, "Hey, it's a Gruber brother." I mean, how many times is it the brother? Fast and the Furious. It's like that. We have like the Fast and Furious.
Family, man.
It's all about family. It's all about family. And but I mean, I would probably definitely. It was this one made my list because I thought it was cool. But I would probably consider going back and watching this.
This one it wasn't too long ago that I did revisit it. Just because it had been several years since I had, and it's a good movie. But yeah, I could see where you're coming from, Chad. Where it's kind of cool that they linked it to the original, but it's also kind of a cheap way out.
Yeah, I mean, I find that the link is already John McClane is the link between the sequels. Nobody watches a movie 8 years later to see the brother of the villain who died. It just kind of seems silly to me. This isn't Kickboxer Part 5, where you get the brother of somebody in it. You know what I mean? This is a Die Hard film.
Part 5, they killed the brother, Chad.
Jesus Christ.
Then it was the friend of the brother, Mark
See?
Dacascos. Yeah.
So stupid. But yeah, it's my third favorite Die Hard movie. So
there you go. Yeah, I think that's
that's strong. I mean, hey.
that's a safe thing to say. And for
three,
the
it
wrestling
goes way downhill.
For the wrestling fanatics out there, keep your eye open for Ludwig Borga as one of the Simon Gruber's thugs, henchmen, whatever you want to call him.
He had a good 3-month run in the Fed.
Yeah, he did. He did better at the Federal Reserve Building in this movie. All right. You mentioned him a little bit ago, RTG. Tony Scott. He directed The Last Boy Scout. This one released on December 13th, 1991. No surprise that this one is so high on the list either. It's one I have seen, but it's been so... This is maybe, if I don't watch Die Hard 2, I should watch this one because it has been forever since I've seen this movie.
Head or gut, motherfucker. I mean, I love... Golly, this one... And what's crazy about this film, and we didn't do a podcast on this one. We did not. But it's so good to me. But it could have been even so much better because like there was like fights or tensions on the set, like rewrites or whatever. So the action that you see is tame compared to what the action could have been. Like stories that I've heard of like how the original cut was supposed to be just like even more gory, even more violent. And oh my God, Halle Berry in this is, oh yes. Yes. And I always do that.
I didn't even put her name on our format because I knew one of you two would bring her up.
Yes.
I mean, like when she's doing that dance, oh shit. I mean, that's so good. It's, oh my God.
We need to take a break here.
Yeah. Do you need some ice water or something?
I'm good, but
not to drink either. I don't think.
I mean, we got our boy Billy Blanks at the beginning with the "Hey fellas, ain't life a bitch" line, and the Friday night's a great night for football, like the greatest ripoff of Hank Williams Jr.'s Monday Night Football thing ever, and just, oh yes, I need to play that song that Halle Berry's dancing to in the strip club. I was playing it in my car recently.
Okay.
Did you pull off the side of the road? Hopefully.
No. I mean, it's so good.
What is it?
I can't remember.
Well, look it up. Chad Cruz, what do you have to say?
When I was talking about the,
I want to be a cowboy. Duh.
There you go.
Oh my goodness gracious! She's got the damn little cowboy hat on too, right? Doing the dance.
Oh
shit! This is like, oh golly, it was so good. Okay, I'm done. Okay, I'm good.
When I was talking about the directors on that tier with Tarantino, I was talking about, or writers, I was talking about Shane Black,
yes,
who wrote Last Boy Scout and
Predator
recently destroyed The Predator with his whatever studio screwed that one up, but he helped write the Predator or
Lethal Weapon.
Predator and Lethal Weapon. So just a remarkable body of work for him. And again, he writes characters as if he's going to play each and every one of them because everybody has cool lines. Damon Wayans is great in this movie. Chelsea Field, is she the one that played Bruce Willis?
Tila.
Yeah, Tila from Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she had a small role in Commando. I think she was one of the flight attendants.
And another, she was in another Christmas film, if I remember correctly. Last Boy Scout, Christmas time. So I mean, it's a fun movie. It's Tony Scott is certainly a different kind of director. I think that you can, when you watch a Tony Scott movie, it's a Tony Scott movie.
Bing bing,
and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And
yes, sir.
You look at his list of movies, and they're all bangers. They're all good, good to great, I will say. And he'll take a bad script and make a really good movie out of it. And I think that the Last Boy Scout turned any idea that like Bruce Willis wasn't going to do more Die Hard movies. You watch The Last Boy Scout, you're like, okay, we can do more, because I think he had done part 1 and 2, and then there were a few years where he didn't do shit. But The Last Boy Scout is like, to me, is almost just like a hard R John McClane.
Well, this is like prime Bruce Willis. Think about it. Die Hard 2, Last Boy Scout. No,
Right.
that was
Where
Yeah,
was
I mean,
Barry
with
Lyndon?
the two with the
Yeah.
two diehards, he had
Boom.
established he is an action
Boom,
guy,
boom,
and he
last
can
time.
be an action guy. So
Yep.
let's do this. Yeah.
But you know what's really crazy about this podcast too is we've talked almost like everything but Bruce Willis about these movies too. That's the most hilarious part.
That's true.
But yeah, I love Damon Wayans in this too. Like this is like when he was peak in Living Color, right? I mean, it was right then and there. I mean, Damon Wayans was fun, and he'd always do that little Alex the astronaut, or I guess, or whatever. He'd always salute like his unborn dead kid or whatever that he would always get drunk to, or. But it was great. This film is yeah. If you've never watched Last Boy Scout, you need to watch it. Definitely.
There you go. And now,
Oh, I wonder what number one could be, Chris.
right, the least surprising number one in the history of us doing these, I think.
Color of Night.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hudson Hawk. No.
Yes.
I know I wanted to talk about Hudson Hawk for a minute because,
Yeah.
people did put that on their list.
Mhm.
And I'm starting to wonder, is Hudson Hawk, and I've never seen it, which shouldn't surprise anybody based on what we've talked about already, but is Hudson Hawk the Halloween 3 of action movies? Did it just get a
No.
bunch of people immediately saying this is shit, don't watch it, but really it isn't?
No,
Or is it really shit?
I think it's just there. Let's just say it's there.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
I think it's one of those ironic ones where, or people have an idea that, they saw this back in 1994 and they enjoyed it for a brief moment, and nostalgia, they're trying to remember like, oh yeah, I remember enjoying that movie a lot. So they think it's good, but it really wasn't a good movie. And maybe it's like social media has made people believe it's good. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't get it. I've
But-
seen it multiple times and it's not good.
But what? But I'm really shocked Color Night isn't number one because it's actually pretty decent film.
Oh, I've
I mean-
seen parts of it multiple times.
I
Yeah.
bet you have. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, no, the actual number one movie. That should be no surprise to any Bruce Willis fan, any action fan. July 20th, 1988, the original Die Hard, John McTiernan's classic. And yeah, this is where, this basically established an entire subgenre
Yep.
of action movies. We talked about it on our Christmas at Die Hard Clones. We did a whole episode on that. So, this was a magical movie, RTG.
Yeah, and just like Seven Samurai, okay? I'm going way back. Kind of set the blueprint for an action film, how Kurosawa made Seven Samurai. So it's like a blueprint. You can like admire it. You can watch it. And it might not be your favorite movie, but you're like, damn, if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have all these other movies. Same thing with Die Hard. It's the blueprint for an action movie, even though Die Hard 2 is really the blueprint for an action movie. And of course, it's number one on people's list. It's a Christmas movie, just like Die Hard 2, though. Excuse me, but yeah, duh. This is kind of just like, we have so much fun on a countdown, and then we get to number one. Number one, like, all right, it's Die Hard.
Yeah.
right?
And this is,
Yeah.
not only did it create the subgenre, it made Bruce Willis a movie star. Up to that point, nobody was considering him a huge movie star. This changed perception of him.
But he was a great television star,
Right.
and moonlighting, and he was
Right, and he did some
likable guy.
movies, but
Yeah.
nothing like where he was going to be able to headline a movie.
Yeah, this is like, hey guys, this is me. I'm Bruce Willis. I'm action stud. Here I am,
and Chad changed the perception of action heroes, what they're supposed to look like.
It really transitioned from the 80s, from the action hero of the 70s and 80s into the early 90s. So you had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sly Stallone beefing up as much as possible for every role, and then late 80s hits, you get a comedy guy like Bruce Willis becoming an action star. Next thing you know, you got Jim Belushi, leading action movies and stuff like that. So it really did transition, and I love the early 90s. I think it's, you can make an argument that that's the best, maybe the second best time in action film is the early 90s, but it's different after Bruce Willis did it. And you talked about the blueprint, RTG, and I think that, Brandon and I come from the wrestling world, and I know you're very familiar with it as well. And the blueprint for a wrestling match, you've got the shine, the good guy looks good. You got the heat, the bad guy kicks his ass. and the finish, the comeback, where the good guy comes back and wins. And the blueprint for the action genre is put your action hero in a place that he's not familiar with, an unfamiliar place to him, but a familiar place to everyone, which was, in this case, a giant high-rise building. Or you can say later an airport or whatever. Everybody knows what an airport looks like. Make a bunch of bad guys attack it, and then let him kill them all. And that's the blueprint for action movies for the next 15 years after that.
And everything. Nakatomi Plaza. I mean, is there a more iconic building in action movie history than Nakatomi Plaza?
Yeah, the name of it. Everybody knows it.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, what else is there left to say about Die Hard? I mean, thank you, Bruce Willis, for giving. It's almost like the everyman, right? Like Chad, the everyman hero, and we owe a lot. I mean, we have made fun of Bruce Willis a lot lately, but you can't take back what he did for this genre.
And as I mentioned at the end of our last show, the reason that it's so obvious that his work declined is because it was at such a high level at one point. If he would always sucked, you wouldn't known any difference. But he was at the top of the frickin' Hollywood mountain there for quite a long while. And yeah, when you have a classic like Die Hard on your resume, I mean, geez.
Right.
I mean, how many guys would wish they had a movie of that level on their resume?
And we talk about how important a villain is to a hero so many times. And Bruce Willis is the epitome of the action hero of the last 35, 40 years. And you look at the villains that he's worked against, Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. You know, you've got Jeremy Irons there as Simon Gruber. You've got Gary Oldman. You've got freaking William Sadler. You've got all the Bruce Dern, Christopher Walken. So many wonderful guys that played opposite him. The asteroid in Armageddon. What a nice
Yes.
I mean, all of Africa and Tears. No, I'm just kidding. But he's had so many great villains to play off of.
Chad at bulletproofaction.com. You fuckers send us emails and complain.
No, I was just teasing. He's had so many great villains to play off of, and I think it's made his job much easier.
Right. And you talked about too the villains. I mean, Alan Rickman kind of set the template for what a villain should be. Like he doesn't have, it's kind of more that Lex Luthor type villain where he's not this huge, he's got the brains behind it. He's got the plan. He's got all the goons who could do his work. He doesn't have to be the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He could just be evil. And, I think, again, that's another thing that Die Hard gave us.
Yeah, and he's, the fly in the ointment, of course, for that plan in Die Hard 1. And, I mean, the plan was flawlessly working. If you watch the movie, you're like, oh, shit, they're going to get away with this. And it just so happens that he is such an asshole. And I mean, Bruce Willis is.
Right.
He just screws everything up.
If he just didn't try, if it wasn't Christmas and he wasn't trying to make good with his estranged wife, this would have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
If this was like the Halloween party that this occurred at, guess what? The Nakatomi Corporation would be screwed.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, number one, not a surprise. Any honorable mentions? Something that didn't make the list that you'd like to talk about? RTG. I could throw it to you if you're ready. If not, I can go.
Yeah, go ahead. You go. Then I'll go.
I mean, this isn't anything like amazing, but I thought he did pretty well in the Death Wish remake. And I kind of almost felt like he had a similar path. Like, Charles Bronson wasn't the most beloved man in Hollywood when Death Wish rolled out. So Bruce Willis in that spot was kind of perfect. And again, as a huge Death Wish fan, again, I just watched frickin' Part 3 last night for the 300th time. I get that it's not anywhere near the originals, but I thought it was a pretty damn good movie. And, it's certainly probably his last theatrical release of any note for Bruce Willis. So I thought he did good there. So I would like to just give the honorable mention to the Death Wish remake.
And so I'm going to piggyback on that and just to let you, so if you guys if you actually do want to watch shitty Bruce Willis or lazy Bruce Willis or whatever, there's actually a couple decent ones made a few years ago. One is Act of Violence. I think it also has my boy Cole Hauser in that one as well. And another one would be Reprisal, I believe is the name of it. both of those. I mean, not Reprisal. Fuck that. Marauders.
Oh yeah, I've seen Marauders.
Marauders is pretty good. Now going like for honorable mention for Mr. Willis on his films. Oh Lord, Strike. You know what? I mean, it's not the greatest movie, but Striking Distance to me is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a fun movie. That might be my pick. And that damn, I'm not really a huge Sixth Sense fan, and I want to talk about action films, but you know, when I went to see Sixth Sense and that fucker told me Bruce Willis is, you know, dead the whole movie before I even watched it. I mean, that was that was one of the buzz. What's that word? Sin City is another one that Bruce Willis is really good in. Bandits is a hilarious comedy. The whole 9 yards. I mean, I know these aren't really action movies, but some, if you want to watch out, Mercury Rising, The Jackal, both of those are decent. Bruce Willis. I mean, but it's not Die Hard level or anything.
Yeah, and go ahead. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And of course, let me finish it with Color of Night and James March. So if
I'm
you're
gonna
looking,
rewatch that tonight.
I might have covered it, but I think if I had to go pick just one, it'd be Striking Distance as an honorable mention.
Okay, Chad.
Yeah, I had Sin City on my list, and it's probably in that same kind of situation as Pulp Fiction, to where it's not led by Bruce Willis. He's just one of the main characters of the story, but it was a fun movie, and I think that Unbreakable is one that I would probably, if I were going to put one of those movies that's not on the list, I'd probably knock 16 blocks off.
Mr. Glass and Unbreakable.
But again, is it action movie? Probably not, but it's got enough action in it that you could toss on the list. I mean, he's good in it. He's a leader. He's a star of it. And M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong did a damn good job.
Yeah. Unbreakable is, that was my bad on that one, because that movie's actually really fucking good. I mean, that's a really good movie.
All right. Well, there you have it. It is our Bruce Willis countdown. And thank you, Bruce Willis, for all these amazing movies. Obviously now retired due to health concerns. And,
you're welcome.
We'll always have these great movies to go back to, though, and enjoy what he provided us when he could.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without Bruce Willis. You know, Bruce Willis, motivated me to be, get our screeners and stuff. And
yeah,
so
you hustled for him.
I hustled for it, and I might have got burned out a little bit, but that's okay. I wish him nothing but the best. And of course, anything I ever said about him was all just for fun. But the pillow meter will live, just with someone else.
So stay tuned. And stay tuned to bulletproofaction.com with something new each and every day. And I know, RTG, you have a brand new Liam Neeson movie to talk about here soon.
Yeah, Memory. Yes, actually, it's called Memory. It's about a guy that's for losing his mind due to
oh boy.
And the memory of a killer, it's Alzheimer's, so it's probably Alzheimer's here too, but another losing her mind. But I'm actually really excited to watch it because I really like the original. It's a foreign, like Dutch or Finnish. It's like a Dutch film. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
And Chad, I know we have something planned for May the 4th.
We do indeed.
So any of you Star Wars fanatics, be on the lookout for that. Mm-hmm. But RTG, we finally got you on here. What in God's name is going on with our long-lost friend, Mr. James Brown, the Godfather of Soul?
Woo! I feel good. So, first off, I want to thank the listeners of the podcast who want to get the update of James Brown. So I'm going to start by saying, okay, so he's probably still not in the ground, but
what? Come on.
But so his. Okay,
we've been doing this forever.
But I have some really kind of good news for the update. So,
what, are they bringing him back?
No. So there was actually finally a settlement between his 75,000 children and the lady that he was married to or illegally married to at the time of his death. Because sometimes if you die and you don't really have a will, everything goes to the bitch that you have, even if it's not like your,
That's
you know,
law,
whatever.
baby.
That's the legal term.
Yeah.
Everything goes to the bitch that you have. All right,
So-
go on.
So, but here's the thing about James Brown, which is awesome, guys. It's like, you think this motherfucker made some pretty bad decisions in his life, but
Yeah.
one thing he did not do is he sold like his music rights. So he owned, like a lot of singers now, they sell their rights, and so another company goes and they collect their royalties off of their masters. It's called their masters. Well, James Brown never sold, so now that he's dead and everything goes through probate. I mean, he died before. Damn, he died like 16 years ago. So everything goes through probate, and it took 15 years for it to happen, 15, 16 years. And so they actually sold his masters to who knows who. So now all of his children and that bitch he was lived at the end, they have income now. So we can
Good
rejoice
for
to
them.
know that James Brown provided for his family.
That's
So
that's all you can ask for.
And if you guys want to come visit his, I don't know if they ever have him out like on display. Like I don't
have him out
because he's not in the ground. Like
should be in freezer then. Or
yeah, I mean, him and Ted Williams. There's stories about him being cryogenically frozen. But with James Brown, I mean, I'm just glad he's, he can rest easy. I mean, he was the hardest working man in show business, and
yeah, he's still working now. 16 years after his death.
16 years, and when Michael Jackson was dancing on the stage, as another memory of my dad, calling me up, Michael Jackson's dancing at James Brown's funeral. Turn on the TV, and sure enough, and Prince was in the audience too, and it was just. It was great times, great
all
moments.
those legends no longer with us.
None of them are here. I hate it.
Brain, I'm going to make a suggestion here.
Oh, please do.
The site has just been, we've been making great progress in the last few years, and I think it's finally time that we reinvest some of this money into what I'm going to call a corpse cam.
Oh,
so we can get live video footage of James Brown's corpse. I think that the fans of Bulletproof Action.
No.
I don't know. Who are you speaking for? I think that they deserve this.
Okay, well, yeah.
And
maybe they agree with you, and if they do, they could let us know on social media.
I think the fans might enjoy the James Brown part more than our Bruce Willis countdown. Who knows?
Stranger things have happened,
or not. Yeah.
All right, Chad. Well, any other ideas you want to share? Money making schemes or investments?
Well, I've got some, but I don't want to share them with the fans because I don't want somebody to rip me off.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure they're very, very lucrative ideas. Good, smart. That's a smart decision. So keep those to yourself. Thank you, RTG, for joining us.
Hey, I had a blast, guys. I'm glad we could work this out.
Rare daylight edition of us recording. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, we could. This might be how we have to record in the future too. Just FYI. So I'll see you fuckers in like 7 months.
Okay.
We'll have to
when we all have a Friday off. We'll get together again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, I think it's time to wrap this up. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for this amazing Bruce Willis countdown. Thank you, Action Fanatics, for listening. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bulletproof Podcast.